name is Shanna Vasquez, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about all the benefits that learning a musical instrument has on your brain. And I know at first glance it might seem like those two are completely different topics, and there's no way that music can affect the way that your brain is. However, it is scientifically proven, and according to Classic FM, it doesn't matter how old you are, if you're a kid, if you're a teenager, if you're an adult, if you know how to play a musical instrument, it is scientifically proven by researchers that the way that you talk, like your verbal understanding, is better. Your spatial reasoning also, and your literacy skills overall are just better than somebody who doesn't know a musical instrument. So they communicate better. They also use most of their brain, like they use all of their brain actually. And they also learn how to cope with stress better than people who don't learn a musical instrument. So first, about the communication. According to Science Daily, the nervous system is affected with how it processes sound and visual. So therefore, when it's affected when you're using an instrument, your literacy skills are dramatically improved. And the way that this happens is because in our brain we have brain stems, and those brain stems are working, I guess, in a way harder, but it's like in a positive way where they're using their sound and their visuals to learn an instrument, and it increases the way that your literacy skills are, and increases the way that you speak and the way that you understand. Also, an interesting fact that I saw was that it was believed for many years that your brainstem couldn't be changed like at all. So the way that you were born, like once your brain is done developing, like your brainstem, that's how your brainstem is. However, in recent studies, according to this professor, who her name is Cross, and her team, they discovered that the brainstem can indeed be shifted and changed in the way that it was originally. And one thing that they found was that actually music and like musical instruments changes that, because again, a lot of like the verbal and the hearing and all that, it's like being processed through the brainstem. It's making it work harder in a way, and it's like in a positive way, and it's changing the brainstem and the way that it processes things, which also leads to the fact that when you learn a musical instrument, it changes the way your brain perceives the world around you, and it changes it for the better. It changes it in a better, more positive way, which I think was pretty cool. And that alone, just like your communication and your interactions, is just way better versus someone who doesn't necessarily have any knowledge on musical instruments. The second is that they use their brain, and according to Penn Medicine, playing an instrument, it like affects your central nervous system, and like you're using your central nervous system when you're learning an instrument, and that means that you're using both your right side and your left side of the brain, because it's like sectioned off, and you're using them at the same time because you're focusing on like the music sheets, you're focusing on like the sound waves being processed through your auditory system and all of that. So it does affect it, and it forces your brain to use every part of your brain, which is a good thing. It's like an exercise to your brain in a way, and it forces to use your peripheral nervous system, where your sensory input is. So all of our sensory inputs, again, it's like our auditory, our emotional intelligence, our communication skills, our like audio skills and all of that, which again forces your brain to use every part of it for you to learn a musical instrument. And then also there was a study in this article that I found really interesting, where they found how Alzheimer's people, they did like a study for 6 months, and they had a group of Alzheimer's people, and one didn't learn a musical instrument for 6 months, and one did. And the musical instrument was the piano. So the Alzheimer's, they were old Alzheimer's people that were learning the piano. It was scientifically proven, like the statistics and everything, that their verbal fluency was way higher versus the people who didn't learn the musical instrument. They remembered things way faster and they processed things quicker, which is amazing because, you know, like Alzheimer is like a mental disease where like you just you lose your memory and you forget things. And in those 6 months of them learning the piano, they process things quicker and they learned things that prior to those 6 months they would probably couldn't have remembered as quickly or couldn't have remembered because of their Alzheimer's. And according to Mind Lab Pro, also with the whole using your all of your brain, when playing, multiple parts of your brain are being used, and when multiple parts of your brain are being used, they all have to quickly work together to mesh everything so it can all be in one strand, I guess, if I'm explaining myself correctly. Basically, from the article that I read, it said that we process things separately. Every part of your brain is processing things separately, and when you're playing a musical instrument, it forces those things to process separately, then come together and mesh together in a quick pace while you're still learning your musical instrument, like playing your musical instrument or whatever, and send out that information quickly. So it literally makes your brain work harder and work quicker, but it's good for the brain because it helps a lot with your memory and all of that. And since rhythmic movement is also part of us learning a musical instrument, whether it be a piano, a guitar, anything like that, there's rhythmic movement in place in some way or another, playing the piano, playing the guitar, whatever. It becomes stronger. So that becomes stronger when you're doing the movements, and it also changes the way that your brain sees those rhythmic movements, and it actually makes your brain stronger in a way, and we don't realize it when we're doing the musical instruments or whatever. But yeah, it does change a lot the way that your brain processes things, and overall it makes your brain use all of its parts, and it makes your brain way stronger. So right now I'm gonna put a picture of all the parts that are being used in your brain, so you guys can see all the parts being used when you're learning a musical instrument and playing a musical instrument. So now it comes to my third point, where it helps people deal with stress way better. So according to Liverpool Academy of Music, practicing mindfulness helps a lot of these students. And basically what mindfulness is, it's a state of mind where you're living in the moment and you don't let any worries from the past, for the future, what's happening right now, outside of where you are right now, you're not letting any of that affect you. And you know that there's other things going on, but you're just focusing on the moment, and you're focusing on the good energy of it and everything, and you're practicing mindfulness. You're basically being grateful, and you're just living in the moment. And it helps a lot with stress because it just helps you forget of everything going on around your chaotic life, and you just focus on the music. It also takes us away from social media. Social media is just a whole different topic, and it can be toxic or whatever. We all have our different opinions on that, but it takes you away from social media, and it just helps you take a step back and just focus on being there with people who share the same interests as you, which also can help a lot with stress when you are surrounded with people who have at least one thing in common with you, and that thing in common could be the music or why you're there or whatever it is. And it also helps a lot of students deal with their stress better. So then also according to MSU Extension, music therapy your brain develops with music therapy opiates and endorphins, which it's stress relieving hormones, and it's scientifically proven that when you're you know, learning an instrument, when you're playing an instrument, those hormones are being released, and it helps a lot with your stress, which also leads to my next point, where they did like research on like nursing students or pre-med students, and they all agreed that you know, like taking a step back from like their stressful studies, their exams, their classes, everything, and just like learning an instrument, and you know, even if it wasn't like they're passionate, they made it a hobby to like learn an instrument. Didn't matter what it was, didn't really like, wasn't like professional, it was just like a little hobby that they had. It helped them a lot from, you know, from them reaching a breaking point and reaching a point where they're just like, I'm done, like I don't want to do this anymore, like it's too stressful. It helped them a lot from what they stated as burning out, where it just helped them survive their pre-med and their nursing school because it was really hard, but music helped a lot. I'll be putting a picture right here in a moment of all the benefits that learning a musical instrument has. So yes, those are basically all of the benefits of it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope I was able to explain more or less why music, you know, it helps a lot with the way that your brain is, from just the way that you communicate with people to how it helps you release stress hormones, or even to the fact that our brain literally changes for the better with how we view things, and it just makes your brain stronger. So these are all of the benefits that learning a musical instrument has on our brains. So thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed, and yes, thank you.